to Step Into Your Life with Julianne Williams. I am glad to have you with me today. One important thing to me throughout my life has been serving people in healthcare. And many of you know that I worked for over 30 years in the skilled nursing and assisted living sector of healthcare. And it was a passion for me because of my great grandma, Sermon Higian. Watching her in a nursing home when I was little was troublesome to me. And so I wanted to make a difference. So here we are, and 30 plus years later, I still have so much passion over the elderly and also mental health. Today we have a guest. Her name is Linda Mac Dougall. She's pretty amazing. I think you're going to find what she has to talk about to be very, very interesting. She is I'm going to read it to you because it's a lot. She's so well versed. She's a dynamic holistic health practitioner, a celebrated author, an inspirational speaker, a compassionate massage therapist, and she specializes in seniors and individuals with disabilities. She has a rich background in advocating for the developmentally disabled and the mentally ill. And now she has transitioned to serve the aging population, and she advocates on the behalf of older Americans. So again, this is right up my alley, but it's something that we all need to know about. What she's going to talk to us about is mobility. And I've heard many times from many practitioners that the most important thing we can do as we age is to keep moving. So we're going to have Linda come on and talk with us about the best way to keep moving so that we can age well, because that's really what we all want to do. So here we go. We're going to bring Linda on. So hi, Linda. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for joining me. I let everybody know just the variety of expertise topics that are in your bag of tricks, and how I'm so pleased that you're here. And that also that mobility is one of the most important things for us as we age. And you are an expert in that, as well as all of the other things you do around advocating and taking care of people. So why don't you start by just introducing yourself a little bit more than just my quick introduction?
Well, I have worked for decades with the special needs population. I was a federal advocate for the state of Hawaii's developmentally disabled. And then I transitioned into massage when I got back from Hawaii to San Diego with my ex. And that's been where I've been with seniors for almost 2 decades now. There's just so much that you see when you work on seniors, because the doctors don't really look at your body anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They used to really look at you, all of you, and they don't do that anymore, really. So we find the funny moles, the lumps and bumps that you maybe should have checked out, things like that. And there's almost nobody else that does that anymore. So I find that very important. I also find that I can tell people things like I have a double case. You can't probably see it, but I have a double case of Dupuytren's contracture.
Okay.
Which is growing knots that, if not taken care of, they start deforming you all over, all the way down one side or the other. And in my case, I've got a double, so I'd probably be split in half.
Oh.
But I developed them late enough that I don't think they'll cause a problem, and I'm still able to completely open and close my hands without any problem. But I've had 2 clients with these, which is why I knew what it was when it started developing on me, because I had to do my own research, which I do a lot of for different people's problems, because there's not any way anybody on the face of the earth knows everything about everything. So I look it up, and I found out that that's what this was. And both those clients that I worked on had been totally skewed to one side because of it, because it goes straight down the arm and down the side. and it just completely messes you up. So when I got this, I went, uh-oh, I know what this is.
Oh.
And I was right. But the thing is, it's a double thing. It's something that's inherited in many cases, if you were of Viking origin.
Okay.
And it's also, more lately, they've said it's also from working with your hands a lot. So I don't know, but I've got it, and it apparently is not going to do me a whole lot of harm. Plus, I take something that everybody should know about, which is systemic enzymes. Systemic enzymes are not digestive enzymes, even though there are a lot of digestive enzymes in the mix. But they take a lead enzyme and go throughout the body, and they're the repair and destruction crew of the body. If something needs destroying, they destroy it. If it needs fixing it, they fix it. And I've been taking those for just about 20 years as well. So that helps my mobility a lot. I see a lot of people my age, I'm 75, and I see them not mobile or getting not mobile. And in many cases, these could help. So anyway, that's that. I'm going on about something I hadn't planned on going on about.
That's okay. It's interesting, which is why I didn't interrupt. So let's talk a little bit about mobility. I know even as I'm getting older, I can tell a difference in my body and how limber I feel, and I get up and I have aches and pains, and I'm old enough. So, I can only imagine what's going to happen later. So how do we combat these issues with mobility and pain and keep our bodies in a way that we can have a healthy older adulthood?
Well, again, I would look into systemic enzymes. There are a couple of caveats on those. One of them is if you're on high blood pressure medications, and the other one is if you're on blood thinners, because these will thin the blood. And as they do that, the vessels end up, like everything else in your body, if you live long enough, scarred, and they have scar tissue growing in them. And so the enzymes eat up the scar tissue so that your blood's flowing again. And so if you're taking warfarin or one of those wonderful drugs, they will only make it worse.
Got it.
Because they'll thin the blood with it. And if it's high blood pressure, you have to have a doctor who knows about them, because it will start clearing it up, and you'll have too low blood pressures pretty soon because of the meds and the enzymes working together.
Yeah, that won't be good.
So movement. I got a dog years ago, 5 years ago. I got a dog simply to keep me moving, because I knew I was sitting too much. So then I got a second dog when I thought I was going to come off the pandemic and work more, and I didn't really have that. So I have two dogs now. But so I walk both of them, and they walk me.
Yeah, right.
And so I walk about 3 times a day usually. It's toward the end of the day, they're shorter walks. But at least we're getting out moving, because I do a lot of computer work. I'm standing now in front of a computer because that's better for me than sitting again. So standing, moving, even if you're watching TV, you can do little movements, stand up, do a few movements, watch. I've got a small vibration machine. One of my knees tends to want to swell up a little bit every once in a while. So I'll sit on my chair in there and put my feet on the vibration machine, and that helps get the blood flowing and get that swelling gone. So you need to know about vibration machines. There's also chi machines, which if you lie on the ground and you put your feet in these little cups, and the machine moves you like you're a fish swimming. And that keeps your bones and everything moving as they should. So there's that too.
I've never heard of that.
And if you go to Parkinson's Resource Organization's website, they have what's called the wellness village.
Okay.
In that wellness village, you will find out all sorts of interesting people, including me at the moment. But one of them sells machines that are for Parkinson's clients, but anybody who's having trouble moving,
Mm-hmm.
they help you move. So it's like
Okay.
a big bike. And if you
Uh-huh.
can't do it, it will do it for you.
Oh,
So there's things out there.
yeah. So it's passive. It's passive
It can
movement,
be
but it
passive.
still
Yes.
works. If yeah,
Yes.
it can be passive movement, so it still works. That's
Well,
incredible.
it's keeping the joints moving. Even if you can't do it, it's
Mm-hmm.
helping. And with Parkinson's, they get so stiff that that movement has to be there. They're just, cramped up. So yeah.
I love that. And so I also know that I think some of this came about. You have been an advocate for many, many years and started with the developmentally disabled, as you mentioned, and served for the state of Hawaii as an expert and advocate on the federal level. But then now you've really kind of moved a little bit in towards seniors. And I think that's important because that's my passion. And also, you pointed out something really interesting about the fact that in our country, we don't provide everything that seniors need. And I know that for a fact. I have been working in the seniors area for more than 30 years. And I do feel like we don't value our lives as we get older. And so would you want to talk to me a little about some of the areas in which you advocate and some of the things that we could all do to help that?
Well, I advocate on an individual level when I'm doing massage because I see something like foot supports that they
Mhm.
need. I worked on a woman last night who actually has boots that somebody prescribed for her because she is so pronated. And on top of that, she's got excessive scar tissue everywhere. And so
Mm,
if she got operated on the foot, it would only create more scar tissue.
I see.
So I advocate on a health level and on an individual level. I advocate through my Vices of Mobility Devices talk because that talks about the fact that we're not teaching our seniors anything about mobility devices. They go online and buy something and think it's right for them.
Right.
And I have seen every kind of posture on a walker you can imagine. I have
Hmm.
seen canes being used on the wrong side, even if they are adjusted properly. They're on the good side, not the bad side. They need to be supporting the bad side, not the good side. Uh, and most of them aren't even adjusted properly. So, I can't even, let me get this out of the way and see if I can get back and show you. But they use them like this.
Hmm.
Instead of, you're supposed to have your arms down. It's simply something to support you as you walk. You don't have to give it a death grip.
Hmm.
You simply have to put your arms on it and walk. But if you're doing this, you can't do that. Or if you're doing this, you can't do that. If
Right.
you're hanging your butt out in the wind, you can't be doing. I can't tell you how many butts in the wind I have seen.
So what's your advice to seniors when they start to have mobility problems and they need something to help them? How can they find the right device?
Well, it depends on if you're going to buy it or if Medicare is going to buy it. But first, go to your doctor, find out what is going on, what you're going to need in his opinion or her opinion.
Hmm.
Then, to make sure you get the proper device, because doctors don't always know. I've seen people go into doctors' offices all the time with bad devices and they come out with the same thing. So, so go then to either a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. Let them look at you with what the doctor's already told you about what you need and let them help you figure it out.
Right.
And then you want to go to Medicare, somewhere in that area, and you want to talk to somebody at Medicare to see what they will cover, knowing what your diagnosis is and what you need. Because otherwise you'll end up paying for it, and that may be fine. I had a 6 foot tall client at one point in time years ago, and she and I met at the door as I was coming in to do massage. She was coming in from buying a new walker.
Oh,
And here she is like this at the door.
right.
And I just looked at her and I said, get inside. We're going to look at this. And sure enough, it didn't adjust any further than for my 5'4.5" frame.
Oh my goodness.
So she would have been with back problems, shoulder problems, neck problems, you name it, problems, because she had bought this thing because the store just sent her out with it. It was what they had, so they didn't bother to tell her it wasn't right for her.
Okay.
So I looked at her and I said, it's really going to be too much of a hassle for you to try to return this and get reimbursed by Medicare, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge hassle. And for something that light, no. And so I told her what she needed to do. And I told her, now you need to go find something that fits, to your wrist like it's supposed to. So you're not doing like this. You're standing up straight. And she did. She got what's called a big red.
Oh,
You know those?
yes.
And it had a seat. It had a basket.
Yes.
It had everything.
Yes.
And she was thrilled because she had money. I knew she could do that.
Yeah.
But some people can't. That's why they need to go through these steps and
Right.
find out what they need. And if you're going to do a wheelchair, that is even more necessary. Almost every senior I see has a wheelchair I would not have gotten for them. Lots of them are the director chair type,
Mm-hmm.
the folding.
Right.
And they're living in those 24/7. And that's terrible. How would you like to be sitting in a director's chair 24/7?
Mm-hmm.
Not good. And they do not support supports. My developmentally disabled clients had everything from head supports, neck supports, postural supports, foot, leg, you name it. Whatever they needed, they had it.
Right.
My seniors don't even seem to know those things exist because they have the wrong wheelchairs that don't support the supports.
Right.
Now, you have to usually buy the supports yourself, but if you don't have the right wheelchair, you're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
So again, get all that documented before you take it to Medicare and make sure that Medicare will cover that with all the documentation you can get. Since you can't get a new wheelchair, but once every 8 to 10 years, you need to know your prognosis from your doctor so that you know what you're going to need and when.
Right.
So that, and get the right base wheelchair so that you can add those things during that time frame.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you have to do some planning. It's not just meeting
Right.
the need for today. It's actually thinking a little bit forward about what does happen with this particular disorder or illness that I have, or just if it's just the normal aging process, what is it that I think I'm going to need?
And everybody has something else. I'm hoping not to need anything, but at some point I may need something. So right now I'm fine, but I did fall in 2020. I was walking that dog. I told you.
Oh.
And I fell in the alleyway here. And there was a hole I did not see. And it permanently damaged this eye. So you do have to be real careful. And I mean, I was being careful, but I did not see that hole.
Right.
It was as black as the rest of the asphalt, and it just completely didn't see it. So I went down and hit my head straight on, broke my nose, but that's the only thing that broke. And speaking of breaking, the other things you can do, please take care of your bones. that is so massively important, and people don't even know how to take care of their bones. And you also need to know that one of your first canaries in the coal mine, if you're not taking care of your bones or your teeth, they are bones. And if they're starting to go bad, you better be looking at the rest of you.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So if I'm using my teeth, I am like, am very, oral health to me is like one of those things. So what would I start noticing if then I have another underlying issue through my body? What would I see or what would I feel?
Before we moved to Hawaii, just as we were getting all set to go and getting everything in order, I went to the dentist. And all of a sudden, I needed work I had never needed in my life. I hadn't felt any different, but they found this and they found that. And suddenly I had all this work. And I thought, wow, that's weird. But I didn't know what I know now. So it didn't dawn on me that it meant more. But more cavities, more crowns, more work than you normally get. Or if you have bad teeth in the beginning, start looking at your bones real early.
Okay.
When I got to Hawaii, we lived in a skinny 3-story apartment with a lot of stairs. And I fell coming down some of those stairs and broke a bone in my foot. I got to the hospital, they x-rayed me, they cast me, they gave me crutches, and they sent me out the door. Well, they gave me crutches, and I knew nothing about mobility devices really at that point. But they gave me crutches that were way too high. And this was a hospital sending me out the door, and all I did was fall and fall and fall and fall, and I had to crawl up and down my stairs.
I was just going to ask you how you got up and down the stairs.
Crawl.
Wow.
Because those things would have pushed me backwards and I would have killed myself. We finally decided to take me to a medical supply store to get a walker. And they had a ramp going there, and I fell backwards there, just going in with the crutches.
My goodness.
So don't necessarily expect that your professionals are going to know what they're doing with those devices. They should have looked at me, looked at the crutches, and adjusted them, but I didn't know any better. And to me, the professionals were sending me out with them, so it must be right?
Correct.
And it's often not. So you need to learn to be your own advocate.
Speak up.
And had I known better, I would have been.
Right. And that's why you are so passionate about telling people about this. And so you said bone health is really, really important. What else do we need to really keep our mind and our eyes on as we get older?
Definitely don't be rounding. If you're rounding, what that does,
I'm like, oh boy.
It does so many things, but if you start rounding, you start crowding your organs so they can't function the way they were meant to.
Okay.
So you don't want that happening either. That can kill you faster.
And
one of the things seniors do as we grow older is we grow more and more scar tissue in our bodies, in our organs. That's what kills us if nothing else does, is the scar tissue shuts down our organs.
Okay.
So you got to be careful of posture. And I'm just as guilty as the rest of the world, and I have to tell myself about that. The other thing is feet, because your posture begins at your feet. Everything with the body practically begins with your feet. And you don't even think of your feet most of the time, probably.
Well, that's probably why when your feet hurt, everything hurts then.
Yeah.
Because that's when my feet hurt, I just feel like I'm just done, Yep.
I have flat feet. I have had all sorts of things in the shoes to help. Right now, I've gotten shoes that seem to work. all by themselves. They're called Bionic, and I get them off of
Oh, yeah.
Amazon, of all things.
Mhm.
But because I'm flat-footed and because of an accident when I was 21, a car accident, I am slightly twisted and I've got scoliosis of the lower spine, and everything causes me to lean more forward. So one of the things you can look at on your feet is where are the calluses, because that tells you where the constant pressure is going on your feet.
Okay.
And mine was right at the knuckles,
Mm-hmm.
and it still is, but Vionic has a little cup for the heel. It's just a little one, but it helps set me back just a little bit, and I need more setback, but this is good.
You're like, victory.
Yeah, because I've never found shoes that actually did the job. I always had to get the foot supports.
Yeah,
And
my
I've got
mom loves the bionic shoes.
good.
Yeah,
Good.
she loves them.
If they work for her, that's the key. It depends on you and how you stand and what your feet
Right.
do. Know that if you're high arched, that a massage therapist is probably going to notice that you're really tight all the way up the center of your body, and also tight on the other side. But what happens is with a high arch, it's too high. So it's compacting all the muscles up the middle. And it's pulling down the muscles on the other side.
That
So
makes so much sense to me because I have high arches.
Exactly. And for high arches, I would go on the inside and go down, and on the outside and go up. I would be doing that because you're trying to shorten the lengthened ones and lengthen the shortened ones.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Now I know. Now I know.
And women in particular have more pelvic issues than, and that's another thing with the legs and the butt and everything, and childbearing, everything. So
Mm-hmm.
that we seem to have a lot more of that than men that I've seen anyway.
Right, right. No, it's fascinating if you think what women's bodies do to have babies and so on and so forth. So I think we're just constructed differently, obviously. And
Yeah,
we are, maybe that makes us inherently more susceptible to those issues. Because I know all the things you're talking about, those are all things that I struggle with. I'm like, oh no. So we now, so you have a really interesting platform that you use to get feedback, and it's called Talkadot.
Talkadot, yes.
So today we've been talking about some of these issues around health and wellness as you age, some of the things to watch, just some real quick and basic not pieces of knowledge that we can become in tune with as we begin to age to make sure that we have the most healthy physical body. Tell us about this Talkadot, because you use that. You want to learn what people think about your particular information sharing.
Yes, Talkadot is something that's brand new to me, but I really love it because it's super simple for everybody concerned. They will show you a picture of me and a QR code, and the QR code, you get your camera out and you hold it up, turn it on, obviously, hold it up to the QR code, and the QR code will come into your phone. You do not take a picture of it, it comes into your phone, and then you tap what came into your phone, and that takes you to the survey. And it's super short, and as a gift to your listeners, if they fill that out and give us feedback on what they thought of this and how they liked it and how it could be improved, or if I need to do something more, any of that, then just tell me. And at the end, you get a little PDF that I've put together, because this is a whole nother topic that is how you're healthy when you age, is you need to know about the nutrients that are taken out by your meds. So this is a PDF on nutrient thieves in your medicine cabinet. Now, I was going to do this thing a long time ago, but it was so much work. I put it off and put it off and put it off until somebody wanted it for their thing. And then I said, okay, but by then AI had come in.
Oh,
So I said, this ought to cut it down.
right.
So you'll see at the top, it says Bard AI and my name, because we both did it.
Oh, that's wonderful though.
Oh, it is. And I added things to it that I knew, like the enzymes, things like that they didn't do. But it's something you need to know, because almost every medication you take sucks out and depletes vitamins. And if you don't replace them, and don't replace them with proper vitamins, and that's a whole nother topic, then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you may feel better over here, but over time you're going to feel worse over here.
I can't wait to get my PDF.
Well, let me explain just about aspirin all by itself, because you buy that every day.
Mm-hmm.
Aspirin, you used to be told to take one a day, right? Well, that killed thousands of people. So they went, oops, and decided to do half an aspirin. Well, half an aspirin still killed a fair number of people. So then they went to a baby aspirin. Now, what was happening is that aspirin blocks the COX-1 enzyme in the body, because that's one of the pain signals. But almost everything is a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
You kill COX-1 and its activities, and you also kill its ability to line the stomach and the intestines with mucus. When the mucus ends up going away, everything can eat through your stomach wall and you bleed out. And that's what was happening. People were bleeding out and dying. So something as simple as aspirin, you need to understand.
Wow. I'm really excited to read it. I am so appreciative that you are sharing it with everybody that's watching Steps into Your Life, either here on Phoenix TV or on YouTube, because it's really important that we have the knowledge. Having myself worked in the skilled nursing sector of healthcare for a long time, I saw people who were very, very ill, and some of them that did not have a very high quality of life. And I think when I age, I really want to have time that is valuable while I'm here, that I can enjoy things as I did throughout my life. And we always have to change a little bit and adapt, but to be able to enjoy my life, that is something that's important to me. And I know the first step in that is managing our health.
Definitely. If you're not healthy, you've got nothing else.
Mm-hmm. So I ask all my guests, Linda, at the end of the show, what did you do to step into your life?
It kind of depends on what portion of my life, but this last portion was I grew old.
Oh.
And as I grew old, I transitioned to helping seniors, because I just see too much that isn't being done. I mean, I recently advocated because delivery people were delivering new appliances to me, and they didn't give me the chance to clean under them before they shoved another one in.
Oh.
And I knew that refrigerator had been here since we bought the place years and years ago. Right. And I started to clean, and no, you can move it. It's on wheels. And they just left it. And so there's a whole mess underneath that refrigerator again. And I can't pull it out, despite what they think, but they're young men. Right. And they think everybody is as strong as they are for some reason, and they're not. So I've complained to corporate. I've complained to a lady I paid, who was also going to send it up the chain because she didn't like it either. She says, they're giving us a bad name because they're contractors, apparently, who
I see.
Delivery. And I said, yes. And they mean well. I'm not saying they did a bad job. I'm saying that they didn't know any better, and they need training. And I'm putting my hand up. I'll train.
You're like, I'm very good.
Well, everybody needs to understand seniors more, and they just don't.
Yes. I mean,
They're
and
not
that's,
there.
not to extend the show, but even my mom, I mean, Amazon delivers big things of dog food or this or that, and there's no way she can lift those into her
Oh, yeah.
home. So, I mean, luckily she's got some kids and grandkids, but not everybody has that. And so
No.
we have to start thinking of how we manage all of these conveniences, because it does open up a whole new set of problems or challenges, we should say.
Yeah. Right on. Yes.
Yeah. So,
And they're
well,
everywhere.
yes, thank you for joining us. I am fascinated by the knowledge that you hold from and all the experiences that you have had, and I appreciate you sharing them with us today. I am again looking forward to your PDF on the drugs and the vitamins that they take out of our body. And so just want to remind everybody to get on that Talkadot. The QR code will be up on the screen, and just fill out that survey, and then you can get Linda's PDF. And we'll put Linda's website linked also on the bottom in the description, as well as it'll show up on the screen for you so that you can find Linda to get the information that you need. And if you want her as a speaker to come and share with your group or organization. Right, Linda?
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, everyone, thank you for joining us. And we'll have an episode coming again soon on Step Into Your Life. Let's journey together.